first of all, we had the solemn pontifical mass, which I was privileged to offer, and thanking God for this new foundation of Carmel here in our diocese. And then following the solemn pontifical mass, we went into the cloister, and we prayed. The sisters prayed, and I said the special blessings, which kind of consecrate and make that space sacred. And we went through the building, blessing with holy water, and then we withdrew, and I was the last one to walk out, and then the sisters closed the door, and then it officially becomes the enclosure behind which they'll spend their lives. So it's the important part of a Carmelite spirituality is their separation from the world and following Christ through a life of contemplation, prayer, liturgy, and penance.
And why is it important to have that enclosure ceremony? Like, what is how does that mark the difference between, why can't we just have it, oh, this is a cloister Carmelite, and you walk away? Why does it have to be those prayers, or why should it be those prayers?
Well, I would say the cloister and the enclosure is a symbol of their separation from the world. They're there not to run away from the world, but really to embrace the needs of the world. And so these sisters are constantly praying and interceding for the world in which we live more actively, but they're not hiding from the world. They're really embracing the needs of the world. And so for those people whose lives are going wonderfully and never think of thanking God, those sisters are thanking God. Those people who are in terrible suffering and are blaming God or not thinking of God's help, they're turning for them to God in prayer. So the beauty of having the Carmel and the cloistered sisters is that constant life of prayer, interceding for the church and the world.
Yes.
Bishop, could you just talk about what is happening in the church right now with these extremely young women that are flocking to Pennsylvania all over? And these young men, we have like 4 or 5 men who are visiting the hermit order here. You must be greatly encouraged to see what is happening now.
It is greatly encouraging. You are very right, and it's a great blessing for our diocese to have both the brothers of Mount Carmel and the new Carmel Foundation here in Fairfield. And what a blessing it is to see, contrary to so many other places and religious communities, which are really dying out because they're not getting vocations and the communities are aging. But here, the youth really of these sisters and those who are coming and interested. I met today a young woman who'll be going into the Elisburg Carmel just next month. A very young woman from Annapolis, and met others who are discerning the very same thing. So to see the young men who are now part of this community of brothers and the sisters here at the new foundation of Carmel is a great blessing. And I think it should make all of us thank God that these young people are hearing the voice of God calling them to this very particular type of religious life, and that they have the grace and courage to say yes to this vocation to which God is inviting them.
And how important is the Latin Mass in all of this?
Well, I've asked Mother, Mother Stella Maria, what does she attribute these large numbers of young women coming to Carmel, and she precisely and exactly says that it is the Latin Mass, the traditional Latin Mass. The emphasis there, of course, is on the transcendent glory of God and the majesty of our Catholic worship. And in some ways, we might have lost or forgotten that in other celebrations of the Eucharist. And the Tridentine, or the traditional Latin form of the Mass, certainly emphasizes that. And I have heard from so many people today after the Mass was offered of how wonderfully spiritually uplifting, how joyful they find that celebration, and it feeds their body, it feeds their soul, it feeds their minds and hearts.
How do you like doing it?
Well, I was never trained in the Latin Mass, so I need a lot of help. And fortunately, we have people around me, the priests who assist, who know the ritual very, very well and are very patient with me. So the Latin is generally not a problem for me. I studied a lot of Latin, and when I studied in Rome, everything was in Latin. So I don't mind that, but I'm still learning as I go along the various gestures for the ritual.
You'd have to say right now that the Diocese of Harrisburg surely seems to be a vibrant place.
It is. We're facing a lot of difficulties. It's a time of great stress, actually, in our state. But nevertheless, there is a vibrancy here, and I think we just can't let any of the other external things that are going on detract us from the mission that Christ has given us. And I see the signs of God's presence and His grace is at work so often and so thoroughly. When you become a bishop, you have to choose a motto, and I took my motto from the first chapter of St. John's Gospel, John 1:16, grace upon grace. And if we keep our eyes focused on what God is doing and simply respond and surrender to that, I think all will be well. I think the new Carmel here is a great indication and proof that that is so.
Bishop, what's your message to the young people, not just of Harrisburg, but all over?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't be afraid of holiness. It does not make you less. In fact, through striving to be holy, you become what the Father had in mind when He created you. And if you're feeling the possibility that God may be calling you to a vocation to the religious life, to the priesthood, to the brotherhood, then pay attention to that. And I would say talk to others about it, pray about it, and then ask God, the Holy Spirit, to guide, direct, and inspire you so that you have the courage, like our Blessed Mother, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, to say yes to God's will for your life.